Hello, this is Paul Nelson with Western Sport Floors, Wyoming Wood Floors. I am here today near Anchorage, Alaska, with my friend, Mr. Philip Elliott.
Hey.
Philip, really nice to meet you.
You too. You too.
Thank you. I was at the airport yesterday, and I happened to publish a Facebook post that said I'm coming to Alaska, and you contacted me.
Yeah.
You happened to be almost where I was going. It was hardly.
It's perfect. It was right in your drive by.
It's perfect. Awesome. I want you to tell me about, well, first of all, you're not a native, you're not from Alaska.
No,
originally
from Washington State.
Okay.
Yep.
So at some point, I think maybe you were in Denver and you decide, you and your wife, let's go to Alaska.
Yep. We had contacts here in Alaska from years ago that we decided to move up here and kind of be on the 5-year plan to move up, and ended up being here for 19 years now. When we moved up, we lived in a tent for about a month, 3 weeks to a month, and so it was my wife and I and Alan and Sherry and their son and our daughter and two kids, or two cats, 2 dogs. So it was quite the adventure to move up and have not much.
So that's the demographic of people that move to Alaska, right?
I think so. Yes. move up with very little, and yeah.
But just the adventure spirit.
Absolutely.
That you're willing to figure it out, even if it means living in a tent and it wasn't like you couldn't afford an apartment, you just didn't have an apartment lined up when you got.
Yeah, and we owned our house still in Denver, so we technically weren't homeless, but we were pretty close. We felt like it.
But you spent a little time in a tent, then you found an apartment, and
Yep.
Now you own a house.
Yep. Started working and just started working at the bottom. Really as a carpenter, just moved my way up through the ranks, and showed up on time and did all the things you're supposed to do to go to work, and started my own business about 7 years ago, and just been enjoying it ever since.
Awesome. So just talk a little bit for folks that live in the lower 48, what it's like to live in Alaska. I mean, we picture winter all the time. It's obviously not winter all the time, but what's it like?
Alaska is tough to live in the wintertime. It's a very long winter. We have about 6 months of winter from the time, I consider winter from the time the ground freezes till it thaws out. Because it can snow at any time, it can snow after the ground is thawed. And so with 6 months of winter and a lot of dark, the sun doesn't hit our house for about 2 months of the year. With that, it's difficult to live up here sometimes. Summer's the reason that Alaskans live here, and the winters are really tough. The suicide rates are high, the alcohol rates are high. It's just, we eat the most amount of ice cream in the United States. Which is funny, for a place that's cold, you think, why are they eating all that ice cream? But it's because people are depressed at home and say they're eating their ice cream and having their sad light out, and it's tough. It's a long, dark winter.
And let's face it, a bowl of ice cream, a bottle of Jack Daniels, a bowl of ice cream would be a health upgrade from the bottle of Jack Daniels.
That's right. Absolutely.
So it's all relative. Right?
Yep.
So you have Elliott's Hardwood Floors?
Elliott's Hardwood Floors.
That's what you call your business?
Yep.
You are an incredible custom carpenter.
I try to be.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be putting any snap together products in?
Not if I can avoid it. I charge so much for snap lock flooring that people don't want to hire me for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because I figure I have to make the same amount of money with whatever I do. I don't want to make so much one week and make half of that the next week. And so if I'm gonna put someone snap lock flooring, it's gonna be worth it for me.
Sure. So. But your specialty is custom wood floors,
custom hardwood floors,
inlays, staircases,
absolutely,
sand finish.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Refinish. Do a lot of refinishing. A lot of older floors up here that there's a lot of dogs up here, and people let their dogs just run around loose, and the floors get really torn up. And a lot of people have called me and said, "Hey, is there anything that we can do to save our floor?" And I go and look at it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can sand your floor and make it look new." And just a couple passes with the big machine, and they're just stunned. They're just like, "This is amazing that you can remove years of damage with one pass of that machine." And so it's a big deal to be able to do that. Provide that service up here for people.
You bet. And so, just to take a step back, when we're talking about some of the click-together, lower-end options, that's really, in many cases, a throwaway floor, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
But when you spend the money up front to put in a real hardwood floor, you can beat on it for years.
Yeah.
Hire somebody like you to come in, and it's like brand new.
Absolutely. That's one of my big selling points when people hire me either to install new or to refinish old. as I say, your floor could be 100 years old. I mean, when I lived in Denver, we sanded floors that were 100 years old, and it was not a big deal. It was not an unusual thing to see an 80 or 100-year-old floor. Up here, you don't see that age, but you will. In 50 more years, these houses will have that age of floor, and they can still have that same floor in there, and they can refinish it to whatever the popular thing is at the time, whether the latest fad is. Like right now, there's a lot of grays going in. I've sanded a lot of gray floors in the last, 4 or 5 years. And so you see that a lot, where the fads come and go, and you can just make it new just by resanding it. And it costs less than tearing out, reinstall, all that.
Got it. I want you to talk just briefly of what it's like to order product here in Anchorage, Alaska.
It is a lot different than down south. Down south, you can kind of go wherever, you have usually a choice of places that you want to use, and you can just drive down the road. I didn't order enough wood, and so I got to drive down the road and pick it up. And up here, you can't do that. It takes about a week and a half to 2 weeks to order material to the time that you get it, and then it has to acclimate. And so coming up on the barge, everything has to be barged up. Like 90-something% of Alaska's foodstuffs, goods, everything is barged up, and from Seattle, the Seattle area. And you just can't do things tomorrow. It has to be thought out in advance. So everything, I always order extra wood, that kind of thing, to make sure that I have everything I need. Always have extra finishes on hand out in the garage to make sure that I have everything I need.
And so you're ordering product from a supplier in Seattle.
Yeah, from Intermountain
Hardwood out of Seattle.
Yep.
They put it on a barge, or they bring it to a shipping company
Yes.
that puts it on a barge. And even in the middle of the winter, that barge is making its way up.
Absolutely. So I always give it extra acclimation time, to make sure that if it gets cold on the barge, which it's going to, that it, has that time to acclimate, because it could get to, any temperature on that barge. So.
And then just another little interesting item about Alaska, it's dark. What were you telling me? 1.5 hours a day of sunlight?
Yeah, we can get down to about 1.5 hours of sunlight a day. And you always have to have lights. You always have to think about what you're going to do. You can't just leave your product in the trailer, or in your van or whatever. It has to come inside every night. You just can't leave stuff outside. It's frozen.
Solid.
Absolutely. Overnight, it'll freeze solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but in spite of this incredible winter and the darkness, you're still working.
Absolutely. I work all winter long. Actually, winter is one of the better times to work, because people are always going out of state. They're always traveling to Hawaii. They're going to see family or whatever. People don't like to leave here in the summer. People want to fish. They want a 4-wheel. They want a gold pan. They want to do whatever it is they do here in the summer, but they don't want to leave summertime. And so the wintertime, people get out of here like crazy. Go see family, go on vacation, whatever it happens to be. And so that's a good time for me to go in and do their job.
Gotcha.
It works out perfect.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you've been just a pleasure to talk
Thank
to
you, Paul.
Philip.
Yeah.
And where are we right now?
We are in Palmer, Alaska. We're just outside of Palmer in the Butte. So little tiny area.
Palmer, Alaska.
Yep.
In the Butte.
Yep.
Okay. But you're very commutable into Anchorage.
Absolutely. Most of my work is in Anchorage.
Okay.
Yep.
And so it's Elliott's Hardwood Floors, Palmer, Alaska. For Western Sport Floors and Wyoming Wood Floors, this is Paul Nelson. You make it a great day.